In the far reaches of the galaxy, humans had established a fragile place among the stars. Though new to interstellar society, humanity's adaptability and ingenuity allowed them to find their way into various alien worlds. One such place was the planet Kyldros, a bustling trade hub home to a vast mix of species. Humans were a small minority here, tolerated but never fully respected. Lucas Reyes, a young human boy, found himself living on Kyldros. His parents worked as low-level diplomats for the Galactic Council, ensuring peace and harmony between species. They often warned him to be cautious around the locals, as humans were seen as weak and primitive by many. One day, Lucas wandered through the crowded streets of the Kyldrosian capital. Neon lights flickered above, illuminating the gray skies with alien symbols. Various beings walked past him, some tall and graceful, others hulking and armored. He felt small in comparison to the grand and strange world around him. As he turned down a side alley, Lucas spotted an elderly alien woman huddled against a wall, her tattered cloak barely shielding her from the cold. Her pale blue skin was wrinkled and weathered, and her eyes, though dim, held a quiet dignity. She was begging, her hand outstretched, though most passers-by ignored her. A few sneered in her direction, muttering insults in their alien tongues. Lucas felt a pang of empathy. On Earth, his parents had always taught him to help those less fortunate. His father had once told him, "Kindness knows no species." Ignoring the curious stares of others, Lucas approached the beggar. He knelt down and took a small credit chip from his pocket, the last of his allowance for the week. He pressed it in her hand gently. "Here," he said, smiling. "I hope this helps." The old woman looked up at him, her eyes widening in surprise. She studied him for a moment, then nodded in gratitude but said nothing. Suddenly, a group of alien youths, tall, sleek, and wearing fashionable attire, appeared at the entrance of the alley. They were Kyldrosians, the dominant species of the planet, with shimmering scales and elongated limbs. One of them, a male with silver skin, laughed as he watched Lucas. "Look at the human," he called out mockingly. "Helping a beggar. How pathetic." The others joined in, their laughter echoing off the alley walls. "Does he think that'll earn him respect?" Another jeered. "Maybe he wants a medal from the Council of Charity." Lucas stood, feeling his face flush with embarrassment. He knew he was different from the Kyldrosians. Their society valued strength, prestige, and wealth above all else, while empathy was seen as a weakness. But he didn't care. His father's words rang in his ears. Kindness knows no species. He squared his shoulders and faced the group. "Helping someone in need isn't pathetic," he said firmly, his voice shaking slightly, but filled with resolve. "It's the right thing to do, no matter who you are." The Kyldrosians rolled their eyes, clearly unimpressed. One of them stepped forward, grinning. "You humans really don't understand how things work here, do you? That old hag isn't worth your time. She's nothing." But before Lucas could respond, a low, gravelly voice interrupted the confrontation. "I'd advise you to show some respect." The alien youths turned, their faces instantly draining of color. Lucas followed their gaze and saw a group of armored guards approaching. Their leader, a tall Kyldrosian woman with regal bearing and glowing amber eyes, stepped forward. The insignia on her armor marked her as a high-ranking officer of the Kyldrosian Royal Guard. The leader's gaze flickered to the beggar, and her expression softened. Then she turned to the group of mocking youths. "This woman," she said, her voice hardening, "is no beggar." There was a murmur of confusion among the crowd that had gathered to witness the scene. The Kyldrosian youths looked at each other, clearly bewildered. The officer knelt beside the old woman, bowing her head with deep reverence. "Your Majesty," she whispered. Lucas blinked, his heart racing. "Majesty?" The old woman slowly stood, and as she did, the tattered cloak she wore seemed to shimmer, transforming into a royal mantle of deep violet and gold. Her frail appearance melted away, revealing a tall, regal figure with a crown of shimmering jewels embedded in her scaled skin. Her eyes, once dim, now glowed with an intense, otherworldly light. The onlookers gasped, including the alien youths, who immediately dropped to their knees, trembling with fear. "This is the Kyldrosian queen?" Lucas muttered, still in shock. The queen turned her gaze to him, her expression soft and kind. "Indeed, young human," she said, her voice carrying an ancient authority. "I have walked among my people in disguise for many years, watching and learning. Few show true compassion. But you have shown kindness without expectation of reward. That is a rare and noble trait." The Kyldrosian youths were now prostrating themselves on the ground, terrified. "We didn't know, your majesty," one of them stammered. "Please forgive us." The queen's gaze hardened as she looked at them. "You mock a simple act of compassion, unaware of who stands before you. That is the true measure of your character, not your wealth or status." She then turned to Lucas once more, smiling gently. "I thank you, human, for your kindness. You have reminded me that empathy can be found in the most unexpected places." Lucas felt a warmth spread through his chest. He wasn't sure what to say. I just wanted to help." The queen nodded. "And that, young one, is what truly makes you strong." With that, she turned and began walking away, her guards falling in line behind her. The crowd parted to let her pass, bowing their heads in reverence. Lucas stood there for a moment, still trying to process everything that had happened. The alien youths scrambled to their feet and fled, clearly humiliated. As the crowd dispersed, a hand rested on Lucas's shoulder. He turned to see one of the royal guards, who gave him a small, respectful nod. "Your kindness was seen by more than just the queen," the guard said. "You have earned her favor, and that is no small thing." Lucas nodded, still overwhelmed, but feeling a sense of pride. He glanced down the alley where the queen had disappeared, then looked up at the towering alien structures around him. For the first time, he felt like he belonged, not because of his species, but because of his actions. As he walked back to the bustling streets of Kyldros, Lucas couldn't help but smile. In a galaxy filled with powerful beings and advanced technology, it was a simple act of kindness that had made the greatest impact. And in that moment, he realized something important. No matter where he went or how different he might seem, true strength lay in compassion, and that was something no one could mock.